This is MG. He's a funding specialist. So if I'm a new business owner, I don't have much capital, what are some strategies as far as funding wise that you would give to somebody who doesn't have much capital to work with, but they're looking for some type of capital to start their business?
First thing I would do is see where I'm at. Where do I stand? So I gotta get my experience report. I recommend using that, seeing where you at. And for business credit, I will start off with lower tier cards. Now what I mean by that, you have to see where you are on your personal level. Easiest banks to get with, Chase. Some of the harder ones are Amex. But once you start to have your personal credit in line, then you're able to acquire more funding for the business side. So you gotta make sure your personal is in point first, then you go up to the business side.
I heard you talking about business credit, personal credit. Can you just give people a little bit more game on that? Because if I'm first starting off, what's the difference between using business credit or personal credit? What are the implications of that?
Absolutely. I recommend going with the business route because one, it doesn't show up on your personal credit report. So let's say you have a $20,000 debt. It won't show up as personal. It'll be on the business side, so it won't affect your debt to income ratio. Also, with the business credit, a lot of times you can get 0% interest for 12, 18 months. So if you get approved for 30, 40, 50,000, you can put that working capital into something and you have 12 months to pay that where you don't accrue any interest. And then you can leverage the 0% interest, and typically you get higher limits for business. Personal, you might get $5,000 to $10,000. For business, you might get 20, 25, 30, just depending on how good your history is and things like that. So I recommend creating great relationships with all banks, starting checking accounts, depositing money, things like that, building that relationship. Everything is relationship based. So once you have that good foundation, then they're going to start reaching out to you saying, hey, we want you to apply for here, apply for this card, do this, do that. You want that instead of you going to them. You want them coming to you wanting your business. So
if I'm somebody maybe with a 600, 650 credit score, I want to get to a 700 credit score, what are some tips today that I can implement to get that credit score boosted and season up my credit so that I can go and apply for some more cards, just acquire a little bit more funding?
The quickest way is you have to know where you stand. So do you have a lot of inquiries? Do you have a lot of credit card usage? Things like that. I would also recommend if you have a trusted maybe family member, mom, dad, parent, whoever, and if they are willing to add you on as an authorized user, that'll be the best. Because let's say if you're 20 years old and your parents are 40 or whatever, and they start a credit card when they're 18. If it was a good standing credit card, good history, good limit, you get on as an AU, you inherit now all that. So you get not only the credit age, but you also get, let's say if they're approved for a $10,000 card, you get that to inherit on yours. So that would automatically boost your score. But it has to be in good standing. So I wouldn't recommend going to a family member that, let's say they have a $10,000 card and they owe $9,800.
Because you inherit.
You inherit also that
so
utilization.
With somebody would do.
Yeah, it'll have to be somebody who's you trust and they trust you, and then approach them this way. Hey, I'm trying to apply for something. I need some more, a credit card age limit. Would you be down to add me as an AU? A lot of times people charge for it, but go to family member and tell them, hey, if the card gets shipped to you, I don't want to use it. It comes in the mail, they can cut it up. It'll still be, you inherit that on your credit report.
Okay.
You can approach it that way. A lot of times family might think, oh, you want to run it up, this and that. No, just tell them, hey, the card comes in the mail, goes to your house. You can keep it in a safe place or cut it up. I just want to inherit all that good information.
Okay. And then I heard you saying once we can start building our credit, getting these cards, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, something that comes to my mind with great power comes great respect. So can you talk about some strategies you can implement or people need to implement, especially someone who's maybe never seen $20,000 or $30,000, but this is credit. This is not your money. This is somebody else's money.
You gotta pay it back.
You have to pay it back. What are some strategies you can give them once they do inherit this capital, not to over leverage themselves and being irresponsible with this capital and getting in a worse position than what they were in before they had these cards?
First off, I recommend having a plan. So start your plan. Get a piece of paper out, diagram, what you're going to use the funding for, what's going to be the return, all those things. Also, I recommend not carrying the cards in your wallet. So people might say, why do you want to do that? Let's say you go to the mall. You say, hey, I have $30,000 worth of credit in here. Oh, I may get my check in a week or so. That's how people get into the cycle where you don't have the money that you're buying. So if you want to buy a $2,000 purse, but you don't have the $2,000 in your checking account. So now you're going to get in that rabbit hole. You keep chase and chase and chase. So I recommend not even carrying your cards.
Because they're for your business, so you shouldn't
Carry them when you want to, when you're going to use them, and for your business.
business
Like
purchases.
also, get an Excel spreadsheet. Put the card on there when you opened it, when is the due date, and when is the statement date. All these things matter because you don't want to get a late payment for a payment of $5. You open all these credit cards, I recommend putting them all on auto pay so that you're not gonna have a late payment. That's silly. You get a ding on your credit report. Also, really go into that Excel sheet because you have sign-up bonuses. So you may have 3 months, you spend 3,000, 5,000, you get 75,000 bonus points.
So it's really a strategy.
You have to take really care of it. And I'm not just saying this, this is stuff that I've been through. I've had cards with super high limits, things like that, to where it's overwhelming. You start spending, doing things, you're like, oh my God, where's this money? Because I didn't have a plan. You just get so excited, you have all this capital, but you gotta put that capital to use. Because if you put it to use, it could be a good thing. But if not, you're spending it wrong, you're buying stuff that's not business related on the business cards, and it gets a mess. So step one, create a plan, get that Excel sheet, and put all the cards on auto pay so you don't ever get a late payment.
If you have a plan, then you won't be using more money than what you actually need to use.
Yep.
Because you shouldn't be deploying those funds and taking that line of credit if you don't need that money.
Yeah. And also, I recommend too, once you use it, let's say if you go make a purchase for $1,500, pay that the next day. So you do $1,500, make a $1,500 payment. You make 2 or 3 payments in a month towards your credit card. That looks good in the bank's eyes. One, they know your history. They know you're gonna pay. You're building a trustworthy relationship with them. So then they're being more inclined to give you that credit line increase versus you asking them. You always want the banks giving you stuff before you have to go ask them. Because when you go ask them, then they're going to require documentation. They want to see taxes. They want to see all this. But if you're spending a lot and you're being responsible, then they're like, hey, give you 15, 20,000. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the credit card companies want to make money off you, off interest. And they're hoping that you don't pay. So it's all a game. So if you just outsmart them, then you can win and you can really use it to your advantage.
Using credit cards, you only can really swipe for them. What's a little bit of some higher level sauce on how we can actually liquidate these credit cards and turn that money into actual cash so that we're not only subject to swiping the card, we can actually use them on other purchases and other things that may require cash for our business, because you can't pay everything with a credit card.
Well, I won't go too in deep because I don't want to go over people.
This might be some higher level sauce.
But I will say, create a list of your bills: phone bill, cable bill, water bill, all the bills that you accumulate, add them up. A lot of these companies you pay online, they'll take credit card, except for your rent, unless you go to, I'm gonna give you one tip, you could use the bill card, BILT. They can accept the rent or mortgage payment with a credit card. But add up all those. You might be paying $2,000, $3,000. Put that on auto pay for your credit card. So one, you're never late on your bills, and then you'll inherit the history. Now, if you want to take a step further, it have to be somebody you trust. You can go pay their bills now. So let's say you have $2,000, maybe a friend, a roommate, cousin, somewhere else. Hey, let me pay all your bills, and then at the end of the month, pay it back into me with cash. Now, I'm not that you gotta be trustworthy people now. And if you want to take it a step further, people buying that are moving and that are going to be buying furniture or a lot of moving costs, you pay for that on your credit card.
And that's awesome.
And the last free one I'm gonna give to you is buying stuff in bulk. So there's a lot of resellers and things like that. A lot of times they will have you purchase things for them because there's limits on some of these bulk items. You purchase it for them. Sometimes they'll pay you either face value or just a little below, but it'll be big stuff, big bulk, 10,000, 20,000, and they'll pay you that capital. Then you can do it that way too. But I don't want to keep going on. The most simple way is pay all your bills. Never use your debit card. You shouldn't be carrying your debit card. Only care if you need to get cash out, but never ever use it. Credit card everywhere. Remember though, have the money to pay for it. Don't go be buying $300 shoes and $600 purse.
Is this we telling for your business
stuff that you don't have the money for? Just be responsible, keep everything organized, and it could really use it to your advantage. But don't spend what you don't have. So,
can you also touch on this? Probably the last thing. What comes with the perks and things that come with these credit cards, the rewards, points, cash back.
Yeah.
What are some good indicators to look for when we're applying for cards? But not all cards are created equally.
Yeah.
So what are maybe some good cards that you might have on the top of your head, and explain the methodology that you take when looking for cards. What are some of those tips and strategies that you can give?
Let's see. First, I look for a card to be versatile. So what I mean by that, I don't look for, let's say, like the American Airlines card or the flight branded cards. Those I typically stay away from because you're only earning miles for that purpose. Let's say if you get a Chase card or a American Express card, now you're earning points for multiple partners because they have hotel partners. You can buy gift cards. You can do hotel flight partners. All these things is more versatile. I was talking to somebody and my friend was asking me, well, what card should I get? I was thinking about getting a Southwest card. I said, do you ever fly Southwest? And he said, no, but they're giving me a sign-up bonus. That doesn't fit your lifestyle. You don't want to just be signing up for cards just to sign up if you're never going to use them. So really look at what hotels do you stay at? Are you Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt? Airlines do you do? Delta, American, United, Spirit, all these different ones. What is your lifestyle? Break it down. And then just get a card that's universal. The Chase Freedom Unlimited, Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then you go to the American Express.
And most of these cards, they have business version for them.
Yeah, that's correct. And then also, too, you have access to lounges. I know the American Express lounge is popular, but really look at what you're going to use a card for and have a purpose. Don't just get cards just to sign up and, say, okay, these are the cards I want. I'm going to create a plan. This is how I'm going to get them. And there's no rush. Don't be in a rush to, I need this card, I need this card. Have a plan. Sit down. I want this card. Get a card. Establish a good relationship. Spend some money on it for a year. Spend $50,000, $100,000 in business expenses. And then I guarantee you, you'll have relationship bankers reaching out to you saying, hey, you're spending this. What's your business goals? Here, I can give you this. This is what we have to offer. And it's always best going through a relationship manager to try to get approval because they have a little bit more pull than just going online and signing up for application. Yeah. So it's all about relationship. You're going to hear that a lot in credit. You want to create great relationships with these banks so that you guys can have a long-term relationship. Now, you don't want to mess up the relationship because sometimes when you mess up these relationships, you get blacklisted, they cut your cards off, they take them away from you, and then now you don't have access to that bank anymore. So you really want to be careful when you're spending. Keep track of everything, look at what you're using the cards for, and then you could go from there.
Yeah, that's so much sauce and game, on how if you're starting from nothing, how you can leverage other people's money to fund your business or whatever goals or aspirations that you have if you're starting for zero or you have limited capital. So yeah, man, I really appreciate those strategies and tips, and that's just surface level.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
I know you could just dive way deeper.
It's a whole
this is really
hole.
Like everything that I know about funding, acquiring capital that's not involving my money, I learned it from him. So this is really the expert, like when I'm talking about funding, getting capital, things of that sort. And you can just tell just some of the small tips in game, and that's just surface level information.
We could be here for hours talking, but simply put, start slow. It's not a race. Kind of focus on your goals, have a plan, and then just go execute. Once you do those things, you get your funding, you things like that, then you pretty much ready to go. So